Hi there. How are you?
Good.
By the way, I have a book to talk to you
Oh,
about.
oh, cool.
Is this one?
Is it the Noah?
Here, I can
Levine?
put it together.
Oh, okay.
It's really
You
easy.
just have to see
Like this
it.
is
So
the
they get
last
away
area.
for free. So
Put it through here.
Yeah, I already have that one.
there was another one that did a program, she calls it the 8-step program.
Oh, yeah, she from Britain?
Yeah, originally.
Black woman?
Have you read her book?
However you say it.
I just found it on this online somehow.
It's a brand new book, but it's.
Yeah.
Like this?
Yeah, just put it right there. And just put it wherever it's comfortable.
Oh, that's too high.
It's quite,
It's too high? Okay, well, we can probably just make
I
it.
would think it's quite cool. Boy, she's intertwined the 8 steps into the world, which is an 8-fold balance.
Yeah.
That's it for using.
So let's see where it's
Yeah,
Yeah,
like I said, I just found it and I like looked at a little video and, can't remember how I
That
started.
one actually might be shorter, but slightly shorter.
Save the bookmarked it and then just
Of course,
forget about it.
of course.
It's too much
Well,
stuff.
I have this long.
It's rounded.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
I got almost all the way.
Mm.
Oh, wow. That's good.
So she was a very unique individual. And I really liked her. She had the same stuff, so she was quite different.
Yeah, I think when I noticed it was from Britain, I
If you
thought,
like, I can,
I was wondering
well,
how
you
it
said we could
would
do with the yoga block
make
over
its
there.
way across.
I've got like
the sea.
a,
So,
that you could use.
but she mentioned she'd be doing speaking tours, so.
I think
See, the
she was
difference
up
is
for that.
that Noah tries to
Okay.
stay.
What I find helps when sitting stays on,
Mhm.
is try to keep your heels
Right,
right.
Okay.
so he tries to
Butt bone
second
right there, so if you
Mhm.
feel your butt bone on your heels,
She
then you're better structurally supported, so your legs won't fall asleep.
You could use it if you were Buddhist. She gives you options of how you
So
could
just try to keep
Mhm.
your,
do
like
things.
instead of splitting out the side
Well,
like that,
that's all based on
try to keep it up straight.
various thoughts,
Okay.
various ways of doing things.
So that way you can see this way into your
She
butt
also
so better, that way
mantra chanting.
it's constricted.
Okay.
So,
I won't.
so far it's
Well,
to me,
it's
but,
all-
you know, I haven't
I
actually.
mean, our legs still fall asleep, we just have to.
So.
Right. Well, it's
Yeah.
interesting to try to stay secular.
You go
I mean, the 12-step program is thoroughly theistic.
Yes.
It's hard to.
stays on.
I know that that's
Part
part
of
of
it
it.
is-
Oh,
They're
I mean, I've played,
They don't like sitting on their knees either.
I've played with,
Traditional thing. In Japan,
agnosticism,
they don't sit on their
atheism,
knees, but
theism, but when it comes down to it,
they just hang out.
I'm a foxhole theist. Like, when the shit hits the fan, I'm praying and praying hard. Whatever works. So, and that just, I know like intellectually it's probably weak, but it's just, I get like, why
Either way, I'm gonna
why
pay
do
for
you
the
uncomfortable?
The other
Suffer,
one-
why suffer?
Well, that's, her main thing is, of course, the Gordon Truth.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
right, and that's really what turned me to the Buddhist
In the
practice.
city, so that's another option.
I just recognize, okay, yeah,
I paid for parking space in Malden.
here's a whole,
How
Yeah,
many
that's
was
exactly
that for?
whole religion that really
I don't
directly
remember
addresses that.
Once I was reading it, it's like,
Downtown.
I need something
Yeah.
that's-
Park really well.
Okay, tell me what-
I'd love to look at it, so you
It's definitely nice.
you get one more work, is that what you, when you're
No,
done?
I haven't, I actually have it on my Kindle, so
Oh,
what I'm
okay.
gonna do is I'm going to go ahead and order it, but I
Okay.
don't know when it's gonna get here.
Okay, whenever it gets here, I could
Yeah.
borrow it from the library and check it out. Yeah,
Okay.
sounds good.
Yours.
Hold on, you guys can all sit up front. I'm being the teacher.
Hi.
All right.
Hey.
Up front. You go.
Yes,
You go.
I'm Becky.
Yep.
I have you on my Facebook, I think you
How you
follow.
doing?
Hi, I'm Gretchen.
Gretchen, you know,
Yeah, welcome.
Actually,
time
I
here?
came here because of,
For meditation.
because I
Oh,
saw
okay.
you and I thought, oh,
You've been to the Sunday worships?
No, I've just been to a couple of classes.
Yeah.
So, as you train, never let Dharma materials touch the ground or slow down until you split along between us.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. So I think we should get another one then, just
Or you can just set it right here next to you.
try to share it. Is there another one of these placards I can use?
Hi. Oh, this place where the Sutra is erected is the place of enlightenment. Here the Buddhas attain Sambodhi. Here the Buddhas turn the wheel of the Dharma. Here the Buddhas entered into Parinirvana. Honor be to our eternal Master of the Dharma, Shakyamuni Buddha. Honor be to the great wisdom, the eternal Dharma that equally benefits all, the got juzu, put your juzu on your wrist. And make the meditation mudra, join. Place that just below your belly button. Straighten your back. Relax your shoulders, your elbows. Breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. Close your eyes, and then open them just to where everything is a blur. Nothing should be in focus. Now we are going to practice meditation, and we need to let go of today's activities and empty the mind. Jōshingyo. Place your hands in Gasho. Now we are going to chant the sacred title. Nam-myoho-renge-kyo. Please try to chant clearly. Remember to keep your posture. Your eyes should just be blurred, or you can focus on the Daimoku on the altar. Amen. Please release your gusher hands back into join meditation mudra. Check your posture. Back should still be straight, neck straight. Relax those elbows and shoulders. Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth with deep, slow breaths. Your eyes should just be slightly open, just to a blur. Now we are going to reflect on the Daimoku we just chanted. Deep inhale. Jinshin-gyo. Please take your Shodaigyo sheet, turn to number 7. Please don't. With reverence, we offer up the merits we have accumulated through the chanting of the Shodaigyo, so that in doing so, we may receive the greatest of compassion through the transcendental powers of the original Buddha. For all people, we uphold this universal Dharma teaching of equality that benefits all. We deeply vow to diligently strive for the improvement of both our societies and ourselves, as well as to diligently strive for the achievement of world peace. We pray that all people throughout the 4 corners of the world may return their lives to the eternal Buddha's pure land through the wonderful Dharma of Myo-Renge-kyo. Nam-myo-renge-kyo. We pray that each and every family member, as well as our benefactors and our friends, all live in accordance with the true Dharma. We pray they all enjoy good health in both body and mind. May they increase their understanding of the Buddha's wisdom, expiate their past transgressions, do good deeds, and lead a virtuous life. May they learn to respect each other. We pray that they embrace the correct practice of Buddhism, perform virtuous work, assiduously improve themselves, and achieve family happiness. May they all obtain the eternal peace and happiness. We pray that all beings, as well as myself, will awaken to the true nature of reality, which is the Buddha nature, and that we all will attain the enlightenment of the Buddha. Nam-myo-renge-kyo. We pray for all of the deceased, for the spirits of our ancestors, for all those who have formed a relationship with the Buddha, and for all those who have not. May you all follow the benevolent life of the Tathagata. May you cross the ocean of suffering, reach the further shore, and attain Buddhahood. May the merits we have accumulated through this deep offering of prayer be distributed equally amongst all living beings. May we all attain the enlightenment of the Buddha. May all the Dharma rounds equally benefit all. Nam-myo-renge-kyo. Sentient beings are innumerable. I vow to save them all. Our defilements are inexhaustible. I vow to quench them all. The Buddha's teachings are immeasurable. I vow to know them all. The way of the Buddha is unexcelled. I vow to attain the path sublime. With this body, until I attain Buddhahood, I will uphold my faith in the Lotus Sutra. Nam-myo-renge-kyo. Nam-myo-renge-kyo. Nam-myo Hi. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I was trying to decide what I was going to talk about while I was meditating. And I have a couple of things I could talk to you about, but I decided I'm going to probably go with telling you what happened over the 5 days that I was gone. Actually, I've been gone longer than that because right after that I went to Las Vegas for the installation ceremony. Douglas Kanai shown to the position of head minister of the Las Vegas temple. And he's taking over for his father, who is retired, who was our bishop before Myoke. And so now he's stepping into that position. He's been gone in Japan for 3 years, so we're very happy that he's back. He is second generation in the United States and is about as American as you can possibly get, which made it very interesting for him being in Japan, because of course his Japanese background, he wanted to be Japanese, but it just wasn't working very well. But I think that's a bonus for us, because we have another American minister. I went on a 5-day retreat at the Omega Institute in upstate New York, and it was called the International Western Buddhist Teachers Retreat. And basically what it was, it's only happened a few times. It only has happened every 4 or 5 years. So the last one was 4 years ago. And this one, from everything I heard about everybody, was much more successful than the last one. So they are starting to get more together in what they're actually doing and trying to accomplish. We had ministers from all over the United States. We had ministers from Southeast Asia. We had ministers from Europe. It was required that you had to be a teacher who taught English and that you were able to teach in English, so everybody was an English speaker, even if they were in a foreign country. You had to be a teacher for more than 5 years. You did not have to be ordained, but you did have to identify as a Dharma teacher within your lineage. And which automatically dropped out some people. Some of the Japanese teachers here in the United States probably would not have qualified because they don't teach regularly in English. So they had to say that they teach in English. And it was very interesting. We had over 200 teachers show up. And any of you ever been to the Omega Institute? It's a huge campus that can handle many more people than we are. There was one other thing going on while we were there, but pretty much we had most of the campus to ourselves, which was very nice. Myoke Shonin, who is our bishop, was one of the coordinators of this year's retreat, and had made sure that in the past they did silent meditation every morning as a practice, which we don't do. So she made sure that there was a space for the chanting traditions, which actually there was surprisingly quite a few chanting traditions there. And some of them decided to come to morning service for the chanting traditions, which the first morning we had several groups and we weren't sure how we should do it. So what we did is we all took 10 minutes and basically did our practice, and in 10-minute increments. It was actually quite nice. Made a very nice, beautiful beginning to each of the mornings. getting to know each other, getting to know each other's practices. Some of the silent meditators decided to come and see what chanters do, and actually a couple of them actually decided to stick with us instead of going to silent meditation the rest of the time they were there, which was nice. And on one of the nights, after a full day of activities, we actually introduced Shodaigyo, this practice, to the whole entire group, which was actually quite, we weren't sure how it was going to be received, but it was received very well. And we had lots of people chanting. It was very loud. And it was very nice. Everybody was really impressed with how it made them feel. The conference was actually done in 3 parts. The first part focused on us being teachers and how we can improve ourselves. The second part was on racism and discrimination. And the third part was on what was the third part on? The climate. No, it was on climate change. And so a very important part of thinking as Buddhist teachers, how we approach these particular kinds of things. The discrimination day was quite interesting. Some people had never, ever been to any kind of training on discrimination or racism, especially from other countries.
How intense was that for different people?
Well, the problem was we probably could have done the whole entire retreat just on that. And so it was all smashed into, those 3 days basically, because the beginning and the ending were only half days. And even the climate change, we could have probably spent a lot more time with that. And developing as teachers, we could have spent a lot more time with that. But it was beginning. It was a nice place to start a conversation. And I got to meet tons of new people. I decided not to stick with people I knew, but to meet as many people as possible, which seems to be what everybody else was doing too, and got to meet many, many, many ministers. I was surprised. I ran into quite a few ministers that I knew from being the head minister of Portland, Oregon. Actually, it was quite a few of the Portland, Oregon ministers there, and I knew all of them. I also got to meet quite a few of the German teachers, and my cabinmate was one of the Spanish teachers, and of course the Southeast Asian teachers. We had Theravadins, Tibetans, Korean Zen, Vietnamese Zen, Japanese Zen, and American Zen teachers. We also had the people who were the Friends of the West. They are what was the Friends of the Western Buddhist Order. They're now they rename themselves a really hard thing to say. They seem like and there were several other forms that were there.
Did the Theravadins chant Dailoku?
Let's just say that a lot of them showed up. Did they all chant? Can't tell you for sure because I was chanting. It sounded like there was a lot of voices in there, so I don't know if they did or not. I think they might have. And, it was very special. I did have one of the Germans tell me in yoga that they thought it was delightful and that we looked like big round white cherubs. Because we were in our white robes. Yes, those were his exact words in English. I don't know if he was translating quite right, but and I took it as a compliment. And it was a very interesting few days. I think we probably could have taken a couple of weeks. And most of these teachers were coming around the world on their own. Nobody was paying for it. Just like us. The 3 of us were paying for it on our own also. Of course, for me, it was not that hard because it was just over there. And but for some of them, they were a long, long ways from home. So, but I'm hoping that I have a lot of connections now, I met quite a few authors. Daniel Layton, who we have his book in our library. Tigan. Yes. And I met David Lloyd, who actually was there because of me, because I told her, okay, how wonderful this book was. And she went back to the board and said, well, there's this guy, David Lloyd, his book is very good, and that's what I'm hearing. And so they decided to invite him. He decided to come.
What did you write?
The New Buddhist something.
New Buddhist Path.
Yes. New Buddhist Path.
L-O-I.
L-O-Y. And he's actually a Zen Buddhist. His argument, basically, the book is an argument about the new thing that's coming up, which is secular mindfulness, and because it's dragging stuff out of our tradition, and some teachers are worried that it's creating the wrong thing because it seems to be pointing people in an area of union. They're becoming more and more fixated on themselves and what they get out of life, and aren't paying attention to anything else, which is not a good thing according to the Buddhist way of looking at it. So he was an interesting author. Unfortunately, he had to give his hour and a half talk that he usually gives in half an hour, which produced a lot of questions and stuff, and a lot of debate for those that hadn't read the book. But I had read the book, so I was right up there. And of course, I forgot to bring my written copy because I was going to make him sign it, but I didn't get to do that. And then there were several other authors. There was the author of the. It's interesting. A lot of teachers specialize in things like chaplaincy, or addiction, or hospice.
8-step recovery book.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
8-step recovery.
Somebody that was drunk about Zen took some out of the Vietnamese Zen and made the mindfulness workbook.
There is a mindfulness workbook, yeah, and that person I think was there too. 8-step recovery. This particular book is Valerie Mason John is the one that is and she wrote it with a doctor who's a psychiatrist, and they put this together based on the idea of recovery using 8 steps. And those 8 steps are based on the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path and the Buddhist teachings. So it's actually, so far, what I've read, and I'm almost done with it, is a very good book. But I'm considering going and taking her class and seeing how that goes. She was a very dynamic author, very well, very unique person. And there was quite a few other authors there and stuff too. So some of them famous teachers, some of them not so famous. I actually was having a real good talk with one of them, didn't realize that he was a famous teacher also, and then all of a sudden I looked down at his name tag and went, wait a minute, I have your book in our library. I did that 3 times. I'll tell you
Was
about
Thich Nhat Hanh.
Thich Nhat Hanh was not there.
Oh, I know, he's got some poor health right now.
Yeah, he's been having some health problems. In fact, the Thich Nhat Hanh people said that it was very interesting. One of the Thich Nhat Hanh teachers was one of the ones that was defending chanting the sutra in our language, because that was attacked by several others who said that we needed to do it in English. And she basically reverberated the things that I usually say, which is that when you chant in English, your mind has it's too easy for the mind to grab hold of what you're chanting and try to analyze it, and all of a sudden you're thrown off of the idea of void. You can't reach that state of samadhi that you need to be reaching. Whereas when you're just making sound, it reverberates through the body and gets you to that point where you can release and grab hold of void, so to speak. But it was very interesting to hear another teacher say what I've been saying for a while, and I was very happy to meet her. She was very unique. She did
what they call a bell prayer in the morning with us chanting. It sounded like an Episcopal prayer, which I think maybe that's where Tick has got some of his, the way they sing in English. They do, it sounds very much like Episcopalian. So somewhere in there, they had some Episcopalians that are choir masters probably help them put it together to where they're singing these prayers, that style, which is very similar to Gregorian chanting, very similar, but a little bit different. But she did it very beautifully. And I also ran into Jodo teacher. He was very interesting, third generation American, Japanese American, and had some very unusual ideas about what he thought might happen to certain forms of Buddhism in the future here. But it was pretty obvious that we're trying really hard to keep Buddhism alive here in Europe and even in Southeast Asia. We're pushing very hard at that. And even the monastics are getting to the point where like the Theravadins are getting to a point where they're starting to understand that we have to work together. It's not going to work otherwise. So I was very happy when I left the retreat, and I'm hoping that everybody keeps in touch. I did meet quite a few teachers from this area. One of them was Noah Levine's disciple, who's in Gloucester, who's a teacher. And Noah Levine, everybody know who Noah Levine is? He's sometimes called the, what do they call him? The Dharma monk.
Oh,
The Dharma monk. And so he came to Buddhism through addiction. And he's supposedly a very unique guy. Kind of rubs it all in some people. But he unfortunately didn't get to make it because of something. We don't know what, but he was scheduled to be there for the show. And also Bhikkhu Bodhi was supposed to be there. I was supposed to pick him up, but he had a migraine and wasn't feeling well and had to stay home. And then he was supposed to come a little bit later, but he never showed because hopefully he was getting better. But it sounded like it was pretty serious. And which part of me had to let that go because I really wanted to have him in the car an hour to myself. And I didn't get to have him. So, because there was lots of questions I would love to ask him, especially about the Pali Canon and his knowledge. He is the foremost writer of the English Pali Canon. We have all of his books on the bottom there. He is the premier Theravada translator of the Pali Canon. So his book, one of his books is called The Anthology of the Pali Canon. And if you want something, I would say light to read, but that wouldn't be the truth. If you're looking for a deepening of the Pali Canon, but you've looked at saying how huge the Pali Canon is and you don't really want to go there, his anthology, basically what he did is he went through it and picked out what he thought were the pertinent things that we really should learn from the Pali Canon, and he put it together in one book and explains it quite well, exactly what's going on in those situations. So overall, great stuff. So, any questions about tonight's practice?
Do you go over an explanation of what Raihai is and how to do it?
Raihai, in quite a bit of Buddhism, it may be called a couple of other things in other forms, but Raihai is a form of prostration. And there's different forms of prostration, but the way it's usually done is from a seiza position like this. Usually you're in Gasho when you do Raihai. When Raihai is mentioned, then the proper way to do it is to bend slightly forward, bring your Gasho hands down, place your hands down on the floor, slide it forward, and slide forward until your forehead touches the floor.
Then when you hear the bell, then you come back up. Using your hands, you can push up and bring them back into the gassho position. So that's the most correct form of Raiha.
Your hands go above your ears to hold Buddha.
When you get all the way to the floor, your hands raise up, and they're right beside your ears, and they should be flat, because what you're doing is you're offering yourself as a footstool for the Buddha.
So if I'm doing it and sitting, should I try to
Down
get my forehead
here.
down on this?
If you're sitting, just like this.
Yeah. For sitting positions, when you're on a chair, usually what we do is we just bow like that. And then when you hear the bell, you come back up. So there's always an ending bell that brings you back up. And sometimes when you're lucky, if you're on a big retreat and you've been sitting for a very, very long time, and if the teacher is really kind to you, they'll put you in Raiha and let you sit there for a little bit, and then let you come back up. Because that releases all the tension on your legs. Then you come back up. And then sometimes you're able to actually stand right after that. That is what we call Raihai, but we also have Fukuhai, and that is the one that you might see on Sunday. And that one is the one where they stand and bow and go all the way back to the floor. So it's what we call a 5-point prostration. So you start this here, you put your left leg up, you stand like this, and then you prostrate out this way, come back in, then the right foot steps back one step, other foot one step, and then you go back down to your knees, go all the way down to Raihai, and then you hear the bell, and you come back up into your Seiza sitting position. That's what we call Fukuhai. And so we only do that at certain time periods also. But that is a full prostration. In Tibetan, they take it one step further, and that is when they do what we call laying flat prostration. So they would, as they come back down, they come down and they go all the way down to the floor, and usually put their hands out in front of them and all the way down to the floor, laying prone, and then they come back up. So just that one extra step. And they do that usually when they do a prostration walk. So like when they're doing a pilgrimage, they sometimes do a prostration, and the little space that it takes to get back up after that prostration is their step. They do another prostration, another prostration. So it can take literally days and days and days to go a few hundred feet. So Raihai, just like that, then bring your hands up. You want to make sure they're flat. Got them a little crooked.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a wrist thing.
So don't, okay.
Yeah, you want to make sure that they're flat.
So not this.
Yeah, not that. And that is the correct way to do the Raihai. Sometimes we do have people that can't. I mean, if we're going to have to pick you up off the floor, please don't.
That's why I'm in the chair.
So it is perfectly okay to do a simple bow also. And usually you'll notice if you see me doing Raihai, I always remove this first. It's easier. You don't want this in the way. So what happens is when I know it's coming to the time of Raihai, right before the piece that's right before, I remove this and put it over to the side. That way I'm ready to make that movement without any hindrance. I don't have to worry about that falling out from underneath there.
So why do we offer ourselves as a footstool for
Why do we?
relinquish our egos?
Yes. It is a humility thing, yes. And the important part to remember about the humility part is when we take refuge in the Buddha, we take refuge in the Dharma, refuge in the Sangha. But we have to remember the question, and that is, where is the Buddha? Everybody know where the Buddha is?
Within.
Yes, it's in here and in there. So the eternal Buddha is a concept of our Buddha nature together. So we look at it in that way, is we're respecting the nature within ourselves and within all beings that are around us by doing this humility kind of act when we're doing our prostration. So some people don't like the idea of prostration, but to give up ego, we have to get to that point where we start relinquishing ego. One of the ways we relinquish ego is by working on our humility. Any other questions? Yes.
Earlier, when I went to the ladies' room, I didn't know, okay, so you bow.
Yeah.
I don't know the proper.
That's
Usually in a temple, you don't have to walk across the hando to get to things. But in our small temple case, frequently we have to walk across. So we consider this what we call the center line. And the center line would go all the way to the back. And so anytime we cross the center line, we usually bow. You can bow just simply as you walk across it. You don't have to turn or anything.
Oh, I chose to.
But sometimes people do. Some people sometimes go, and it's okay. If there's a big long line of people, it's easier if everybody just goes like this, keeps going, because it does do that. There's lots of little things that we do within the hando, and part of that is practice on mindfulness. Because frequently we do things out of routine and we forget. And so that mindfulness, that little mindfulness thing, remember to bow. Remember to bow when you enter. Remember to bow when you leave.
You're bowing in the hallway over there.
Everything else,
Yes.
as you enter and leave, because that's the doorway. All those things are little things to help us remember to be mindful of everything that's going on around us. And the mindfulness practice, we don't fixate on it too much. If you were at a retreat, the teachers might fixate on it a little bit more. But here we don't usually fixate on it too much, but you'll see people that'll be doing it and others that won't. But a lot of times the ones that don't, if they see other people doing it, then all of a sudden we'll start doing it again. So it's a good reminder. The coming in and out, usually, in this case, you come through the door and you're in this little square that would be the entryway. And as soon as you get here, you're walking into the hando. So the most correct way would be put your hands in gasho and turn toward the altar, make a small bow, and then you step in with your left foot. And then you do it. And then when you get ready to leave, you would step over here just before you step out, bow, and then step out with your right foot. And there is reasons for all of that, but that's another day. So we'll let, I can answer one more question if there's any more questions before we go tonight. I will be gone to Japan next week. Actually, for the next week and a half. So for International Ministers Meeting. And I will be back after that. And then I have to go to Toronto the following weekend to do their Obon service. Our Obon service is going to be in July. And then we may be closing on the new house. July 17th is the closing date. If everything goes the way it's supposed to, July 17th we may be closing. And then you'll see all these little, like this weekend we'll be moving stuff, kind of things on, And hopefully, once that transition happens, we can do it in a timely manner so it doesn't disrupt the services too much. But we'll probably be doing July and August, we'll probably still be doing services here. So we're hoping that by September that we're starting the services over there.
It's still in this area?
It is in Newton, New Hampshire, which is 8 miles north here. Unless you ask Google, and it says it's 6. So one map program disagrees with the other program. So if you think it sounds better to have 6 miles away, then we're only 6. So
It is just north of here. It's actually next to Plastow.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
I would need to maybe find someone in there.
We probably can arrange that.
Okay.
Probably can arrange it. So the new space is a little bit larger than this room, just a little bit, but it is our space, so we can do whatever we want to it. And there's a lot more storage space, so a lot of the stuff that's in here that has started cluttering the room hopefully will not be in that place. And we'll just have the room for service. The house itself is over 3,000 square feet and has a full unfinished basement, so there's plenty of storage for us and an attic. And it's also got about close to a half an acre of land around it. So Newton feels like you're way out in the middle of nowhere, but it's not really.
It's not really.
Well, some people go out there and they go, God, this feels like, I think it's just because there's a lot of trees.
That's near Atkinson. Oh, was it Atkinson?
I'm not sure where Atkins.
I think it's a little further north. I didn't know.
It goes to Plastow, and then there was another one right next to the N7A, if I remember. I used to live
Well,
on
Newton used to be actually part of Amesbury
Oh.
back in the 1700s. And yeah, and basically what happened, there was a big, huge argument about where the line between New Hampshire and Massachusetts was. And when they got finished with the argument, that part of Amesbury was on the side of, so they called it Newtown. And for a long time, they were Newtown. And in 1740, they became Newtown. And then over time, just like with everything else in New England, they smashed it together. So,
Keep going.
yes.
Enjoy your evening.
Thank you. Welcome to New England.
I'm so happy to finally be here.
Congratulations
Been
on
working
your
2 years to get up here.
and congratulations on your acceptance to Harvard. That's pretty
Oh,
key, pretty
nice.
major. I think the last time we spoke, you were